Once again, thank you so much for joining us on Monday's edition of Morning at NTV. I am Priscilla Regina Naloga, coming to you live from Makerere Kavule. I'll be telling you a reason as to why I am in this particular location this morning. But of course, in our Kickstarter conversation, we are going to be looking at unlocking Uganda's transformative potential. Now, one of the custodians of this particular agenda, driving Uganda's transformative potential, is the Office of the Prime Minister. It is charged with coordination of government's ministries, departments and agencies to ensure that there's effective delivery of services to you and I as Ugandans. And of course, under the Office of the Prime Minister also stands the mandate, which is to implement government policies as well as programs. Now, of course, the most grounded program that we are talking about right now is the parish development model, something that we're going to be touching best with a detail into 1.5 years later of its implementation. Where do we stand as a government and also beneficiaries, citizens of Uganda? So, Morning at NTV is privileged to have a sit down with the leader of government business, and that is in Parliament, but also the Prime Minister herself, that is Right Honourable Robinah Nabbanja, joining us here on Morning at NTV. Good morning to you, Right Honourable Robinah Nabbanja.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Yes. We want to say welcome back from New York. I know that you have been traveling left, right, and center to supervise government initiatives, but also to make sure that as a country we get to tap and benefit into some of the things that are crucial into the Vision 2040. But before we go any further, I know that there's an ongoing nationwide tour that is focusing on agriculture mobilization. You are also focusing on education. You're looking at value addition and service delivery. How are you spearheading this campaign, and what are the nitty-gritties in it?
Good morning, Uganda. First of all, I want to thank you. Thank NTV for this opportunity this morning. I want to thank God, first and foremost, for the gift of life and the gift of leadership. As you are aware, under Article 108 of our Constitution, the Prime Minister is charged with the responsibility of implementing all government programs and projects. It is under this article that I derive my powers to be the chief coordinator, the chief implementer, from the center to the district up to LC1. And so, as you are aware, the NRM, under the visionary leadership of our President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has since 1986 been implementing a number of programs to improve household income. But all this emanates from our 4 core principles. You know them. The 4 core principles are patriotism, the love for the country; democracy, where people have a choice of the leaders of their choice. They choose the leaders they want to lead them for a certain period of time. And this, we have held regular elections, as you are aware. And that's where we derive the manifesto, the National Development Plan. Now we have the National Development Plan 3, which we are implementing, and we are also initiating the National Development Plan 4. Socio-economic transformation, where we want transformation of all Ugandans. But remember, we still have the 39% of our Ugandans who are yet to be in the money economy. Then we can talk about Pan-Africanism for marketing and many others. But this time, I will concentrate on socio-economic transformation. Under democracy, first of all, before I come here, government has been able to give an enabling environment for you, NTV, to do your business, for people to do their business. The country is secure from north to south. We can proudly say the country is secure. And so the president wrote to me last year, giving me policy proposals. He initiates policy. So we implement the policies. He came up with 6 policy proposals, which we are trying to popularize. That one of them is farmer education and mobilization. And 2, he told us to now look at agriculture mechanization, because agriculture employs above 60 of our population. So agriculture mechanization and irrigation. You are aware that because of a number of changes, our environment or weather these days keeps changing. This last season, we had rains from March up to May. And if somebody is engaged in, say, maize cultivation, you cannot harvest. And some of our crops did not do well. So we are looking at how to mitigate that. Then we are also, the president directed me to have a look at production, multiplication, distribution of seed and stocking materials. You are aware that government has a role in all of this. We are charged with the responsibility to satisfy seeds. There have been a number of fake inputs, both stocking materials or seeds, herbicides, pesticides, to mention but a few, fake on the market. So how can government come in to regularize that? We already done with some of these policy proposals. He also talked about disease control. How do we control the diseases? You are aware that we have got a lot of market out of this country. Globally, by the way. This country can feed the whole world. But we have a problem of diseases. And so the president is saying, how do we control the diseases? And he gave us guidelines on how to do it. And we are doing this with the ministry, hand in hand with the Ministry of Agriculture. We are using the whole of government approach. Then we talked about there are those people who have big chunks of land lying idle. We are not utilizing it. How do we help them to utilize their land? And then we have had a number of problems when it comes to fisheries subsector. The stocks. How do we utilize our wetlands? Instead of using them to grow rice, how do we use it? Use our wetlands and these other resources to improve the fisheries subsector. And so, Ugandans are being mobilized because, you know, a number of our youth are not yet productive. A number of them. And some of them are still in the other 39% of our population. How do we do it? The president guided that in order for us to move as a country, to move together, the office of the Prime Minister should coordinate all government ministries, government, including the civil society organizations and the private sector, by the way. And so, you cannot talk about agriculture
and leave out private sector.
You cannot talk about agriculture and forget about roads. In order to reach the market, you need roads. So the Ministry of Works was put on board. You cannot talk about agriculture without talking about health. We need a health population to be productive. So the Ministry of Health is also helping us in this campaign. You cannot talk about agriculture without talking about land. You have heard about a number of issues in that sector. The land wrangles, evictions, land grabbing. And so the Ministry of Lands was put on board. You cannot talk about agriculture without talking about environment and water. So the Ministry of Water, in order for us to have bulk water production, was also put on board. And many other ministries. You cannot talk about agriculture without, you know, Ministry of Education, because we have to educate the population. And so the Ministry of Education is also on board. And the Ministry of Local Government, because all that we implement is done at that level. And so the Ministry of Local Government, we have this flagship program, the Parish Development Model. You cannot talk about agriculture without talking about value addition and industrialization. With industrialization, you cannot talk about industrialization without the Ministry of Energy. And so the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Local Government are all mobilized. The Ministry of Gender for mindset change. So we have been moving, and I know you have these clips. We have been moving around the country. We have so far covered a number of districts. The president started with Guru, as you can remember. Guru after Guru, the president took the same campaign in Arua, remember? The number of days we spent there. Then from Arua, we went to Masaka. But look, the president is alone. And so we picked what he was talking about, and we are now mobilizing at district level. We have so far covered the districts of Greater Mubende, that is Mubende, Mitiana, Kasanda, Chiboga, and Chankwanzi. We did that during the month of August. I think it was from 19th to 20th and 21st. Then after that, we are done with the mobilization in the districts of Greater Ruweru. That is the district of Nakaseke, Nakasongora, and Ruweru. The turn-up of people is overwhelming. We have mobilized the civil societies, civil society organizations, the private sector, the agronomists, the input dealers, the scientists under the Ministry of Agriculture. And these are based in Naro, you know Naro, the Nagrik, the Ministry of Health. We have mobilized the Uganda Heart Institute. We have been moving with them for people to do cancer screening. The Ministry of Health has given us the Cancer Institute, Uganda Cancer Institute. We go with them. We have a health camp to check. You know, some people sometimes do not want to go for regular checkups.
Well, Honorable, you can rightly understand the regions that you have mentioned are not doing so well, especially economically. So it's difficult for them to even afford some of these services.
Oh, yes.
Even though government is supposed
and
to
that is the reason we have this campaign. That's the reason we have this campaign. And so members of the community have equally embraced this. It's a working formula, I'm telling you.
Okay. When you say it's a working formula, from the time that you have been to Gulu down to the Ruweru region, what have been the realizations on the ground? What are the realities?
No, before that,
yes,
we are now going to Greater Chivale.
Okay.
In Greater Chivale, we have the districts of Kakumiro, Chivale, and Kagadi. We are done with the mobilization of leaders. We are now going to have this done on Friday, that is on 6th, 7th on Saturday, and 8th. On Friday 6th, we shall be in Kagadi the whole day with all those MDAs I've talked about. In Chivale, we shall be there on 7th. And Kakumiro, we shall be there on 8th. What are the achievements? The number of achievements. Government has been able to mobilize the farmers. We have taken government closer to the people. We have used this same opportunity to monitor government projects and programs, what government has been doing for the people.
Okay. And that is specifically in agriculture?
No,
because
we
know you to be the one who puts things in orders.
Yes.
You visit hospitals.
Yes, we have even taken this opportunity to visit hospitals.
Cross checks and balances.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. The number of achievements. Our farmers have been able to access quality inputs wherever we have gone, because in this campaign we have been able to go with all the agro input dealers. The Ministry of Agriculture has been able to show and teach our farmers the best practices ever. We have been able to mobilize our technical people, the experts at sub-county level. My sister, we have experts down there, degree holders in sub-counties. But sometimes they have a few issues that can be solved. Some of them are saying, I cannot move, I don't have a motorcycle. I think you saw that we have been giving them motorcycles. Yes, in some areas. Yes. So some of them say because of a few things here and there. So we mobilize the leaders, we mobilize the farmers, we also mobilize the experts, the agronomists at sub-county level, those people who did animal husbandry at sub-county level. And to me, this has been a big achievement. We have given our people free specialized health services. And this, to me, is a big achievement. While we were in Mubende, Greater Mubende, 966 people were screened for cancer. Breast cancer, cervical cancer, prostate cancer. In Mubende, 16 people were tested positive, and they have started on medication since that time. And once you start on medication early enough, then you can get cured. And you know what I'm talking about. 1,647 units of blood was donated by people. Remember, sometime back there, I was in Parliament battling it, and people were saying blood bank does not have blood. But through this, I've also been able to mobilize 1,647 units of blood.
Okay.
That can help us
further,
to save life.
On the health, while the health camps were inducted and they definitely produced yield, it also goes to give government a picture of what they need to implement in the actual service delivery.
Of course.
In the public spaces,
of course.
The public hospitals. So when it comes to things like cancer, if you have that many people in just Mubende, over 900 people being screened for cancer, and then you do...
No, not only cancer, but other
different types of cancers.
No, not only different types of cancers and other diseases.
Okay, all right. So what opportunities does it present government to actually ensure that they improve on the health services delivered to those regions?
No, we are looking at preventive measures, because cancer, the reason why somebody gets cancer, the failure to make your body active, to do exercises, the healthy foods, and many others. So we are looking at preventive health care, as you already know, it's one of our policies. But of course, we are also looking at curative. When somebody has it, we have to look for a way of making sure that he survives. And so I want to thank all those who were with me in all those areas where we went. And the other achievement, we have been able to mobilize those people with big chunks of land. We have connected them to banks like UDB. We have been moving with UDB, Bank of Uganda, so that they can get money, cheap money. The problem of Uganda has also been having a problem of, these money lenders, exorbitant interests. So cheap money from UDB, for them to buy tractors, for them to buy these irrigation systems, to mention but a few. And so, as you can see, that this is a working formula. Many government ministries have had, they have got in touch with the communities. The Ministry of Lands has been able to inform the public of what is expected of them in case they are faced with a number of challenges, evictions, the RDCs, the LC5s, these other people. We have also been able to inform the people about our program, the PDM. The PDM program, say for example, by the time we went to Mubende, the number of beneficiaries who had got the money were less than 17%. Why? Because There was a lot of corruption because people did not know what to do. People were not mobilized, but now they are mobilized. As I speak now, they are telling me Uganda is now at almost 75%. By the time we went to Mitiana, they were at 16%. The other day, the cow was telling me they are approaching 80%. By the time we went to Nakasongola, they were at 12%. Chankwanzi was at 8%. Chiboga was at 17%. They are now talking about 90%. And to me, the campaign is yielding a lot of results. Unless when you have another question.
Okay. My other question is that you do have these ministries, departments and agencies coming on board to complement the nationwide tour. However, I know that then it requires a look to the side of the budgets. The budgets currently may not be able to complement and support them to do this particular work, which then becomes a burden to them and then a burden to the end user or the end receiver, which is the citizen of Uganda. So how is the government intending to realign that mission?
We were given this assignment last financial year. The president wrote to me in May last year. And so we have planned. We have planned for this. Yes, the Ministry of Agriculture does not have enough money. As usual, you can never have enough. But this activity, these mobilization tours have been planned for since last year. And so the ministries have relatively budgeted for the same. And I believe we shall continue to do the same. The Ministry of Agriculture under NARO and NAGRIC have been supported with money. We gave 60 billion to NARO, and we have also relatively provided enough money to NAGRIC, and we shall provide more as time goes on.
Okay. Let's talk about the other government programs, development programs that you have been spearheading.
Yes.
Of course, you've given us a sneak peek into the PDM and how it has quickly, caught up. However, what has government done to deal with the corruption that was embedded in the implementation stages, the initial stages of implementation? What mitigating lines has the government implemented in order to stretch, some of these districts from 8% to now 90%?
One is sensitization and mobilization. Once you arm the communities with information, they can fight for themselves. And this has been evident in my district. Recently, there is a parish chief who wanted, or who took 800,000 from an old woman, from a beneficiary. The beneficiary did not know how to use a phone, so she gave a PIN code to the parish chief to go and withdraw money for her after she had seen the message. You know, these messages of OND. And now she had got her 1 million. And now the parish chief told her, no, the system has been off. The network is off, but we have been able to get only 200,000 for you. So the LOC3, because of the continuous mobilization of the area, that sub-county is called Chikwaya, the district councillor of those areas got wind of this information. They organized a meeting in a parish called Chakabangali. In my district, I'm giving you a live example. Now, the communities came, and when they came, they said, even me, somebody took my money, even me, he's the same person. So they arrested the man. When they called me, I told him, don't beat him, take him to police. They took him to police. When they took him to police, police did their work. The man is charged and interdicted. So the way the public is mobilized, that can also help us to fight corruption. Then too, we have structures in place that help us to fight corruption. The IGG, the Auditor General, and many others. But before we go there, we need to do this campaign to mobilize the public to know their rights. Yes.
Okay, and from the campaign mobilization that you've been doing, what are those rights that you believe Ugandans are actually not aware of and leading them to actually lose out on government programs?
The right to information. Every Ugandan has a right to information. Yes, the right to information. The moment you have information, you can also try to fight for yourself.
Okay.
Yes. That knowledge alone is enough to help us fight this petty corruption at that level.
All right. Well, the Right Honorable Robinah Nabbanja has mentioned corruption, so we're going to be taking a short break. When we return, we're going to also have a conversation around the corruption, especially in MDS, and also look at the different other government initiatives that have been set up. What's the difference, and how exactly are Ugandans tapping into the others, not making them die out at the expense of the PDM? And so that conversation is coming up right here in Morning at NTV. Don't go away with this nationwide tour. However, we now want to look at the particular socio-economic development programs that are right under the office of the Prime Minister to understand exactly what they are, what their mandate is, who their target audience to Ugandans is, and how they're being carried out right now, and what's the status in terms of challenges and achievements. And so turning back to Honorable Robinah Nabbanja, we want to now understand, I know that we need to get our country and its population from subsistence to commercial. And I know that that's a very huge burden for government right now. So what are those development programs that are being worked on, implemented right now, that are aiding the socio-economic development of our country?
There are a number of programs. Government has been implementing this program through different ministries, departments, and agencies, including civil society organizations. When you talk about social development, we are talking about the social development programs like roads. We have been able to connect the country from the north to south, east to west on tarmac. And this has facilitated the movements of goods and services. We are now rehabilitating and putting in place the standard gauge railway, the meter gauge railway, because we have been having a problem. Our roads have been deteriorating at a high speed. These are the social programs. Maybe can I talk about the social programs, the welfare programs? Can I talk about those also?
Yes,
the parish development model. The parish development model, as I speak now, I think disbursement of funds stands at 64 countrywide. But there are some districts that have done very well. For example, Kakumiro. Kakumiro, we are at 99.7%. This district, Bushenyi is at 100%. They are looking for more funds. And many other districts are doing very well. We have another social program called the Youth Livelihood Program. You know it, or the Youth Livelihood Fund. The Women Entrepreneurship Program. We also have a Myoga. And under Myoga, 280 billion has so far been dispersed to the people. Direct blood transfusion for them to get the money, use it to buy inputs, to buy stocking materials, pigs, chicken, what, develop themselves. We also have other social assistance grants for empowerment, that is SAGE, for the elderly. You know that Ugandans aged 80 years and above have always been assisted with some little support. We also have the special enterprise grant for the elderly, the elder person between the age of 60 up to 79. By the way, still under PDM, we also categorized the beneficiaries, the groups, the beneficiaries. 30% is earmarked for women. When I talk about 30% at parish level, that now translates into 30 million for women to do their business, to do their enterprises, to use this money to buy inputs. and develop themselves. The youth, we are given 30%. The elderly, we are given 10%. People with disabilities, we are given 10%. When I talk about 10%, I'm talking about 100 million per parish. And this has been a reality. You know, people used to think that we shall not implement it. And then the 20% is left for the men between the age of 35 to 50. I mean, to 35 to 60. And so, to me, this is a working formula. And this will help us to get our people out of poverty and also join the money economy.
Okay, let's talk about the sluggish release of funds. There's also been banks withholding these funds. There's also been the slow absorption rate in many districts. You've mentioned quite a few, but if we reflect on the others, it's not. Of course, there are those results. So most recently, you did sanction a forensic audit into the funds. And what were the findings in that report, and what are the resolutions moving forward?
We found out that there was a lot of laxity at the district level. The focal persons or the coordinators at district level, you know, this financial year, we did not put money for them to supervise and monitor. We thought they would use their routine budgets, and so they sat back. But they have been mobilized, and we have also agreed going forward that we shall put some money in the budget for them to prepare them to move. And then two, the parish chiefs, some of them were claiming they did not have accommodation, so we have put money for accommodation, at least 100,000 per month for the parish chiefs. The PDM committees, especially the SAC committees, they had not got support. Yes, we gave support to the PDM committees, the 1 million per year. And we have been releasing this money quarterly, 250,000 per quarter, for them to use, to mobilize, to use in terms of transport and many others. But we did not give support to the PDM circles members or circle leadership. And so it has been, and they are the ones who are doing the groundwork, moving to banks, doing this, opening the bank accounts. And so because of that, they have been charging people money. They have been charging people money, and we have told them stop.
Hence the loophole of corruption.
Yes, so they have been charging people money. They have been, you know, deceiving them that they are charging them for computers, the system, that mobile money, many other things. And so we have also noticed that the leadership at sub-county level had not been engaged. They, according to them, they are nowhere. Their roles were not categorical. And so we have also mobilized them. We are going to do it continuously. Remember, the members of parliament were told to go on recess. We have given them guidelines, you know, PDM guidelines. Remember, we had those conflicting guidelines, but now we have streamlined them. The banks had got stuck on people's money. You know, some of them, these are big chunks of money. And they're using the same money to rent to other entrepreneurs. But we are saying, can we have our people get their money now?
With the least form of inconvenience.
Inconvenience. Yeah. That's how, because they would take our people, go to banks, open accounts. Somebody's opening an account for just 1 million. Can you imagine? The banks, I think, thought this was an opportunity for them to have the numbers. Yes, yes. And so we are saying these villagers of ours, they don't need to go to the bank. You can send 1 million, can go on phone, isn't it?
Yes, it can.
And so we are also looking at regularizing the banks. The Ministry of Finance has been directed by Cabinet to come up with a paper for Cabinet to make a concrete decision. By the way, remember, today is a Cabinet day. A Cabinet decision is going to be taken either to remain with commercial banks or to use government banks, or to send money directly to the beneficiaries using these service providers like MTN, Airtel, because we have so many middlemen in between, and those charges are affecting the money.
Okay, you've spoken of corruption, and I know that it's one of the major factors contributing to government and its officials. The IGG recently also released a report updating the status, showing that despite the efforts of government to fight this evil, it's still lingering around seemingly. And so we want to find out, are there any potential re-strategies that government is yet to implement to be able to fight corruption better? Because the things that you've just mentioned earlier, why you have to now support the different actors in, for example, the PDM, is so as to eliminate the loopholes of corruption that had presented themselves. And so on a bigger spectrum, how is government overall intending to kick corruption out of Uganda?
Of course, we have the structures that are aimed at fighting corruption in place. The parliament. You know, parliament has got that role of oversight. Then two, we have the IGG, like you have said, the Inspector General of Government. We want to continue funding them to do their work. The Auditor General, the Directorate of CID in police, and all of them have got their own roles, clearly spelled in the law. And then the public, the general public, you heard the IGG the other time, you know, campaigning and asking the community to join in the fight, because they are the ones down. They are the recipients of these services. So the fight of corruption cannot only be done by only leaders. Everybody, including you, the media, you need to join in. Yes.
Okay.
And I think you are doing well.
Thank you very much. There is a class of Ugandans that are of the view that perhaps one of the opportunities of fighting corruption is through structure reforms. For example, you do have people who have held offices for a long time, and through those offices, you know, with the systems, they've been able to manipulate them for their own benefit and selfishness. And so is that something that the government is willing to look into?
You are aware that we are doing restructuring. Hope you know this. There has been a number of duplication, and but we shall be guided by the law. We shall be guided by the law. Yes.
Okay. There's also an opportunity.
Because that law is in place.
Yeah. There's also an opportunity with ICT taking shape in the country right now.
Of course.
That you can now automate systems to be able to have efficient and effective service delivery.
Of course.
But of course it requires funding and appreciation and endorsement from Cabinet. What is their opinion on that matter?
You are aware that I presented an SDG report in the UN Assembly, and we are now talking about accurate data.
Yes.
Accurate data, the use of accurate data, the use of ICT, the use of science, technology, and innovation. That's the way to go. And that's why we have been mobilizing the districts, the local communities. We cannot talk about PDM without having accurate data, because there will be duplication. And so you are spot on.
Okay. Speaking of accurate data, we do have the Uganda National Meteorological Center that has come up with accurate data showing us that there's a El Nino coming through, which means that the weather patterns are going to become a bit dangerous. This rainy season, they inform us that rains are going to be going for as long as 24 hours and plus within September all the way into next year.
You are right.
Year. That's going to be challenging to your office in particular, because there's always reactionary to when calamities happen. You do have the hotspots of Bududa, Kasese when it comes to such times of the year. You will have floodings. People will be settled out of their places. When it comes to agriculture, education is going to be affected. Health is going to be affected.
Of course.
And so how prepared are you as the Office of the Prime Minister to mitigate these forthcoming calamities?
As you are aware, we have a full department of a full ministry under the office of the Prime Minister. We get meteorological reports, especially during these seasons. And remember, last season we lost a lot. We even lost people in the areas of Kasese, this time in southwestern areas of Kisoro. Do you remember?
Yes.
We lost people. But we had got reports the damage would have been bigger. And so people were relocated. Some of them left those areas, those dangerous areas. That's why the casualties in Uganda were smaller than our counterparts. Remember, in Rwanda, they lost many people. In DRC, do you know the number they lost?
In South Sudan,
yes. Yeah. So we use the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness to inform those disaster-prone areas. Say, for example, in Mount Elgon, we have Bududa. Yes. What have we done? The government of Uganda has partnered with Give directly. It's an NGO. Do you remember that program I talked about on TV last year and this year? So we are now at implementing stage. We are relocating people in those areas. Government has put in place a budget of 57 billion. Give directly has given us 7 million per homestead that is going to be relocated. And we're talking about 4,000 homesteads. And government is giving 10 million per homestead. So far, we are distributing 10 billion. We shall do it in a phased manner. Okay? Already 7 million from Give directly has been given out to those beneficiaries. From the district of Bududa, after Bududa, we shall go to Namusindwa, then in that order. Remember, we lost almost 29 people in the districts of Mbale. Do you remember that those flash floods? After relocating these people, that area will be reserved as a forest reserve, as a game park reserve. We shall take that land. Because before we are relocating these people, remember we took them to Kiriandongo, they are those we took to Bunamutie, then they come back, and then they die. So this time, we shall reserve that area, gazette it, and it will be government land.
Okay, all right. Well, away from that, we have the most recent good news that has come to Uganda as we step into independence vibes.
Of course.
We do have the Pamoja 2027 AFCON bid that went through for East Africa, and congratulations to government for all efforts to ensure that we were well positioned to get that particular win for us. Now we are wondering, what is government, going to do to prepare for AFCON 2027 with the regime in power? I know that you have been seeing the social media people, and they've been showing people, players in stadiums on a rainy day, and people have mud all over. It's not the picture that we want to see in 2027. It's a few years down the road. What's the roadmap?
The Ministry of Education, under the wise leadership of Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, and His Excellency the President, and all other ministers, the Ministry of Sports. First of all, let me congratulate my country, the President and the Minister of Education. We have been rehabilitating the Nambole Stadium, as you are aware, using Army Brigade. We have partnered with our brother, Chigundu, to put in place this achievable stadium. We have other private stadia that, as you know, we also have a plan and a budget we have put aside to work on other stadia so that we can facilitate that AFCON 2027.
Okay, and this study within the capital, or are we looking to particular?
We are looking at particular regions.
Which
particular regions? So, for example, you are aware that we are going to work on a number of stadia. We have Mbale, you are aware. We have these ones of Mbarara. You are aware of our plans, yes.
Okay, all right. Well, Independence Day is in a few days. We're clocking 61 years of independence, and we want to find out what are the independence plans, but also 61 years of Uganda having full control of everything that we do here. What does that mean for the current regime?
First of all, I want to inform Ugandans that this year's Independence Day celebrations will take place in Kitgum. Let all of us join Kitgum people to celebrate this.
There are buses that will leave Kampala.
Of course, there will be some means of transport.
Go to Kitgum.
Of course, there will be some means of transport. The districts know what to do because this has been routine. Save for COVID-19, where we have always been here in Kororo. But since COVID, since we are now,
the restrictions were relaxed.
Since the restrictions were relaxed, we are moving around the country to make sure that people can get closer and feel the government. Okay. And so this year's celebrations will be held in Kitgum. And according to me, the number of achievements we have made, a number, like I started. Uganda is now secure. That alone is enough for us to celebrate.
Okay.
2, socio-economic transformation. We have recovered when it comes to social recovery. We have recovered. We are now, remember the other time, the president in the budget speech of 2022-2023, the president informed the country that we are now in the middle income status. We are takeoff. You can also see by yourself. This is not how we used to be. Now, 2, that alone is enough for us to celebrate. Then 2, we have put in place a number of social economic transformation programs, like I already mentioned. Okay. That alone is enough for us to celebrate. Yes, there are a number of those that we shall continue to improve.
I know that you're going for cabinet today, so in your closing remarks, what's on the agenda paper for cabinet today?
What is on agenda is not...
It's none of our...
Yes, that one.
Find out what the resolutions are.
Yes.
Okay, all right. In your closing remarks, we want to, know the commitment of the Office of the Prime Minister to Ugandans as they close the year.
The Office of the Prime Minister is charged with the responsibility to coordinate all government programs, to monitor, to implement. And so we shall continue to mobilize the public. We shall continue to coordinate all ministries, departments and agencies. We shall continue to mobilize our development partners. Uganda is now ready for industrialization so that we can get jobs for our people. Yes, we shall continue to coordinate as usual. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Right Honorable Robinah Nabbanja, who has given us her time before she goes in for a cabinet sitting to remind us that there is a lot of potential that can be unlocked transformatively for Ugandans, and the government programs that are spurring up socio-economic development, how they are actually progressively going on from implementation to utilization of Ugandans. And you continue to be encouraged to actually utilize up all of these programs because they're meant to leap us into actual middle income status. Also, the president continues to echo value addition. So make sure that whatever you're doing today is actually of value addition to your supplier, to the one who's gaining from you or the one that you're gaining from. Well, that marks the end of Morning at NTV here on NTV. Thank you so much for having been with us. For the rest of the programming, please don't go away. I am Priscilla Regina Naloga. Have yourselves a good day.